Welcome to our 2021 virtual Seder. We're glad to welcome you in this rather unorthodox fashion, but we thought it would be nice to be able to do Passover together with folks that you actually know and love. We're going to be doing it in groups, but we are grateful to have you here and to join with us even if we can't do so together.
This is the festival of Passover, a time of renewal to share with friends of other faiths the celebration of freedom. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivonu lahadlik ner Shel Yom Tov.
Amen.
Blessed art thou, O Lord, our God, creator of the universe, who has sanctified us by thy commandments and has commanded us to kindle the festival lights. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shekianu v'tzidmanu v'achiyanu lazman hazeh. Blessed art thou, our God, creator of the universe, who has kept us alive and brought us to this season. Amen.
We bless the first cup of wine for the festival. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen.
Amen.
Blessed art thou, O God, our God, ruler of the world, creator of the fruit of the vine. The purpose of the Seder is to recall the miraculous events that led to the exodus of the Jews from an ancient land of slavery. The Bible, centuries ago, instructed us to meet as we do tonight when it is declared, "And you shall tell your children in that day, saying, it is because of that which the Lord did for me when I came forth out of Egypt." By this, the Bible means that young and old should gather on the eve of Passover in order that we might relate to the children and to all this important chapter in the history of our people. The first important symbol of the Passover service is Matzot, the matzah, commemorating the bread which our foremothers and fathers were compelled to eat during their hasty departure from Egypt. We use three matzot, to represent the three religious groupings of the Jewish people: Kohen, Levi, and Yisrael. They are placed together to indicate the unity of the Jewish people. In unity, we find our strength and the power to survive. Now, I break the middle matzah and conceal one half as the afikomen. Thank you.
She loves to eat.
Later, we will share that afikomen. As in days of old, the Passover offering itself was shared at this service in Jerusalem. Among people everywhere, the sharing of bread forms a bond of fellowship. For the sake of our redemption, we say together the ancient words which join us with our own people and with all who are in need. With the wrongly imprisoned and the beggar in the street, for our redemption is bound up with the deliverance from bondage of people everywhere. Ha lachma anya diachalu Avahatana be'ara de Mitzrayim. Halach ma'anya di achalu imahatana be'ara de Mitzrayim. Kal dichin yete v'yechul, kal disrich yete v'yifsach, hashata hacha l'shana haba'a be'ara de Yisrael, hashata avde l'shana haba'a b'nei u'v'not chorim. This is the bread of affliction, the poor bread, which our mothers and fathers ate in the land of Egypt. Let all who are hungry come and eat. Let all who are in want share the hope of Passover as we celebrate here.
The second symbol is the roasted shank bone, which reminds us of the Pesach, the Pesach of the Paschal Lamb, where the Jewish families were told to roast for their meal on the night of the last plague in Egypt. The lamb reminds us that the Lord passed over the homes of our offspring, of our ancestors, when God killed the firstborn sons of the Egyptians.
The third symbol is the roasted egg, known to our ancestors as a festival offering, for it was brought to the ancient temple in Jerusalem on each of the three festivals, Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot.
The fourth symbol is the marorah, the bitter herbs that remind us of the bitterness of slavery that our ancestors were compelled to endure.
The fifth symbol is the chorosis, made to resemble mortar, to remind us of the mortar which our foremothers and fathers made bricks for the building of the Egyptian cities.
The final symbol is the karpas, a green vegetable, to remind us that Pesach coincides with the arrival of spring and the gathering of the spring harvest. I'm going to take some of the excuse me, the karpas, and I'm going to dip it into the salt water. We will now eat the green vegetable dipped in salt water. In partaking of the karpas, we give thanks to God for all God's bounties. In tasting the salt water, we are asked to remember the tears which our ancestors shed while suffering in slavery. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri ha'adamah. The four children. In four different passages, the Torah commands parents to tell the Pesach story to their children. Why is it necessary to repeat this command 4 times? The reason is that no two children are alike, and each child has to be told the story of the Exodus in a different way. The wise child. The first child is the wise child who says, "What is the meaning of all the laws and the rules which God has commanded concerning Pesach?" The wise child loves Pesach and is eager to celebrate it. The child wants to know the meaning of every custom and the reason behind every practice. The parent should patiently explain that all that there is to know about Pesach. The story should be told in such a way that the child will know not only how we observe the festival, but also why we observe it. The child should also be helped to understand the meaning that Pesach has for us today in a world which is so many people are not free.
The second child is the rebellious child who says, "What does this service mean to you?" The child says, "To you," as what a person who talks like an outsider. To such a child, a parent should emphasize the importance of one's family and traditions. The parent should say, "I observe this festival because Pesach is not merely an event which involved our ancestors thousands of years ago, but one which involves every person of the Jewish tradition and every person who seeks freedom in every age. What happens to my brothers and sisters today also happens to me."
the immature child. The third child is the immature child who says, "What is this all about?" This child understands that something special is happening, sees the large gathering, the Haggadah at each place, the unusual food on the table, yet does not understand the real meaning of what is going on. The parent should explain the festival simply on the child's level. Growing older, learning more about our people and observing Pesach year by year, this child too will come to love Pesach and to appreciate its beauty and its message.
The very young child. The fourth child does not even know how to ask any questions. Here, the parent should begin the discussion, pointing out how special this night is and why we celebrate it. In this way, the parent fulfills the words of the Torah. You shall tell your child on that day, I do this because of what the Lord did for me when I came out of Egypt.
On all other nights, we eat either bread or matzah. Why on this night only matzah?
We eat unleavened bread to remind us that our ancestors, in their haste to flee from Egypt, that they could not wait for the bread to rise.
On all other nights, we eat any vegetable we wish. Why on this night are we supposed to eat especially bitter herbs?
We taste bitter herbs to remind us of the bitterness of slavery.
On all other nights, we need not dip any food into any even once. Why on this night are we asked to dip twice? The green vegetables in salt water and the bitter herbs into chorosis.
We dip twice to replace tears with gratefulness and to sweeten the bitterness and suffering.
On all other nights, we eat either in a sitting or reclining position. Why on this night do we recline?
To recline at mealtimes in ancient days was a sign of a free person. Thus, we recline on this night of Passover to show us that we are free.
The story of Passover is a long and complicated one, but due to a famine in the land, the family of Jacob came to Egypt, and there they thrived and survived. But Pharaoh feared their growing numbers, and in response to his fear, the Israelites were enslaved. Their cries of anguish at the harsh work condition reached God's ears, who sent Moses to bring them out to a large land filled with milk and honey. After numerous failed entreaties to Pharaoh and numerous plagues, Pharaoh finally relented, and the Israelites were free to cross the Red Sea and arrive safely on the opposite shore. Pharaoh's army did give chase, but they were drowned, and the people were now safe to begin a new adventure with God as their companion and guide.
God has shown our people so many acts of kindness. For each one, we are deeply thankful. We are now going to sing Dayenu, which means for that alone, that would have been enough, and we should be grateful. Ilu, ilu, hotzianu, hotzianu, mi Mitzrayim, hotzianu, mi Mitzrayim, dayenu, 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 Ilu natan natan manu et ha-Shabbat natan manu et ha-Shabbat dayenu, 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 Ilu natan manu et ha-Torah natan manu et ha-Torah dayenu, Die, die, hey, new. Die, die, hey, new. Die, die, hey, new. Die, hey, new. Die, hey, new. Die, die, hey, new. Die, die, hey, new. Die, die, hey, new. Die, hey, new. Die, hey, new.
In every generation, each Jew must feel as if he or she were personally among those who went forth from Egypt. The struggle for freedom is never ending, and a struggle which began in Egypt continues forever. And let's say together,
Therefore, we gather year after year to retell this ancient story. It is eternal in its message and its spirit. It proclaims humanity's burning desire to preserve liberty and justice for all. We will now bless the matzah again, right before the Seder meal. Sure. We begin with motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lecha min haaretz. Blessed are you, our God, ruler of the world, who brings forth bread from the earth. And then the blessing over matzah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat matzah. Blessed are you, our God, ruler of the world, who sanctifies us with mitzvot and calls upon us to eat matzah. We now place a bit of the maror, the bitter herbs, on our matzah. And we say the blessing over maror. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat maror. Blessed are you, our God, ruler of the world, who sanctifies us with mitzvot and calls upon us to eat maror. Amen.
So we'll ask you to enjoy your meal. We've had a Passover to-go box, and there'll be a wonderful meal produced by our dining room services. But we are now after the meal, and we're going to do a moment of remembrance. At every Passover, there are always people who should be at our table and who are not. And so we take this moment to think of them and remember. At this meal of celebration, we commemorate all those who have passed away. Their lives continue to enrich us. We remember friends who live on in our remembrance. And we also remember too our own dear ones whose days filled our hearts with love, whose memory enriches our spirit. Although they are gone from daily sight, their influence remains, clarified in essential goodness, and blessing that we might learn that every person is precious and that life nobly lived is indeed eternal. So may we honor their memories by our efforts to serve life and to live with true compassion. The prescribed order of the Passover service is now complete. We have told the ancient story of Israel's liberation. We have partaken of the traditional foods, symbols of the struggle for human freedom. As we have been privileged to observe the Seder tonight, may all of us be privileged to celebrate it together again next year. Amen.
Amen.
May it be God's will to preserve us in life and in good health. Amen. May the spirit of this festival remain with us throughout the coming year.
Amen.
May Israel be blessed with peace, and may our people and all humanity live in harmony and contentment.
Amen.
And let us say together,
Next year in Jerusalem.
Amen.
Amen.